hopefully, if everything's gone to plan, you can all hear me. I've not done this in a while, so the setup could be completely wrong, and I could be talking this off at the moment. But hopefully, if you can't hear me, I hope you'll let me know in the chat. So yeah, good morning. We've got 42 people watching. Hope everyone's well. Hope everyone's staying safe, enjoying the freedom we have at the moment. Yeah, and today we'll be building, as you can see. We can hear you. Brilliant. That's safe. We'll crack on then. Right, well today I'll be showing you how to start the scenic items for a water scene. It's something I want to have a go at. It's doing like a riverside, lakeside scene. So I thought a couple of these kits if I showed you how to build these, and then maybe in a couple of weeks I can then take these kits that we've built and put them into a diorama and have a go with some resin and other watery products to try and make a nice scene. They're quite new products. The two boats are very new. I think they were only released last week or the week before. Jetties a couple of weeks previous, and the lobster pots are getting a bit on. They're a couple of months old now, and they're very popular. I've never seen any of these kits before. Not even opened the packets to have a look at them. But just turning them over, they do look quite easy and simple. So I suppose we'll all be learning together how to build these kits because I've not seen them yet. So we'll just have a look in the chat. See who's with us today. We've got 77 people watching now, which is brilliant. So good morning, Trevor Austin from North Yorkshire. Morning, Rodney from New Zealand. That's a long way away. Kev says sound and visual 5x5. That's, I presume you mean 5 out of 5. So that's good. If you can hear and see me, great. This morning from Somerset. Morning, Richard. Deltic Dave in Abington. Morning, Tom. David saying very quiet. Not much I can do about that on my end. I don't think. So maybe try turning your volume up, and that should solve that issue. Well, today, if I crack on building these, if you want me to paint them, I will. If you don't, it'll be quite a short one. So if you want me to stick around a bit and paint them afterwards, that's no issues at all. I've got a couple of ideas on how to, especially the rowing boats. I've got a couple of ideas on how to paint them so it looks like they've been painted years ago and it's all been chipped off. So I've got a couple of ideas how to do that. So if you want me to do that, just let me know and I will. Morning, Craig. Craig just popped up. Morning from County Durham. I will just say, if you're posting any comments, if you're posting the comments through Facebook, I might be able to see them depending where you're posting them from. So if you've got something urgent that you want to let me know about, or urgent question you want to ask me, the best bet for you to do that is to do it through YouTube, because I can see everything from YouTube, but I can't see comments from certain places on Facebook. I can see Craig comment from Facebook, but I don't know where he posted from, so I'm not too sure on that. Right, so to build these kits, I've just want to say, I've had a brief look at them through the back of the packet, and they look fairly simple, just a case of layering them up. Lobster creels, they could be a bit more fiddly, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, excuse the pun. But in theory, all you need to build these kits is your glue of choice, which for me is the Deluxe Materials laser cut kit glue. You can use the likes of Superplastic, or you can use rocket card glue for these, but personally I prefer the laser cut kit glue. It's got a little bit more bite, it's got a little bit more playtime, and it's a little bit more viscous than these. These are a bit runny, and you can get a bit messy with these when you're doing smaller bits, so I prefer the fine applicator on the laser cut kit glue. That is my glue of choice, and that's what I recommend personally. Good old file, not necessary at all, but I always like to take down the burrs around the edges of the kits, so I always think a nice flat jeweler's file is a great tool to have. Tweezers for all your tweezing needs, and of course a sharp Swan & Morton craft knife. Mine's not so sharp, but we should manage perfectly fine. Right, so if anyone's got any questions about what I'm doing or about what we're doing in general, then feel free to ask me in the chat. Like I say, YouTube's the best place to do that so I can see everything. If not, we'll crack on then. So if you bear with 1 second, I'll get rid of my mug, and hopefully you can still hear me. If you can't hear me, let me know. But for the meantime, let's crack on. So let's just clear a bit of space. I will point out now, if you're using the Deluxe Materials laser cut kit glue, I recommend you get a small glass, bit of kitchen roll or something, or blue roll in the bottom, slightly damp, and just leave you gluing upside down like that. It saves the nozzle clogging up. And then once you've finished with your glue, you get a 5 or 6 ml syringe like this, fill it with water, put the glue tip on the edge, and then just clean it through like that. Do that a couple of times. It will keep your glue nozzles from getting clogged up and keep them in good condition for a long time. So right, let's get into it. I think we will have a go at the jetties first. They look like the quickest and easiest. So let's have a go. Only 2 sheets on this one. Looks like we've got a 2 ml sheet, I think. 2 mil? Maybe 1 mil. I love the smell of freshly opened kits. It's amazing. Yeah, so it looks like a 2 mil piece, and we've got a 0.8. Is that more than likely? Okay, so let's just have a quick read of the instructions. Very simple to assemble. Okay, so it looks like there's 2 types. If I can get my knife out to show you. You have the floating legless ones, which I believe is these 2 here on the side, where they haven't got the indents for the legs. They're the floating ones there. And I believe they just glue directly on top of those 2 parts there. And that's it for them. That's them done. But the ones with supports, one with legs, obviously needs these 2 with the notches cut out, and then the 2 frames with notches cut out again, and you got a couple of legs. So I'll build one of each. Like I say, if you're interested to see me paint these later on after we finished, do let me know, and I'll more happily stay around for that. So this could be a very simple one. This just simply release the parts, give it a slight. Oh, that's not quite gone through. There we go. Slight coax, and there's floating. And I'll do one of each. It looks like you've got, yeah, I don't know if you can tell that, or I'll just quickly show you. You've got 2 floating and 2 standing, but they're all different. You've got a very smooth, very pristine, I suppose, floating one. That's just completely straight. And you've got this one, which is, again, floating, but it's more higgledy-piggledy. It's not smooth, not straight. It's quite flown together. Then you've got a smooth and straight standing one there. And then you've got a rougher edge floating one, standing one as well. So lots of thought gone into that kit. Allows you to make exactly what you want. If you're doing an older scene, for example, you might choose to do the rougher one. I'm just going to give us a quick clean up, just taking the edges off. Morning, Roger. How you doing? Morning, Derek. I hope everyone's doing well. We've got 100 people watching now, which is brilliant. And just for variety, since it's a spice of life, I will do the messy one of the standing. So I hope everyone's had a good weekend just gone. I know I certainly did. Me and my colleague Ian went down to Grantham to go and have a play on Little By Them, which is an absolutely amazing layout. And I very much doubt Tony's watching. He's probably busy sending A4s around at full chat. But Tony's been a great help to me. He's really given me lots of inspiration, lots of hints and tips, lots of ideas for both kit building, white metal and brass kit building, and weathering. So as my good friend Jesse, they've both been instrumental in getting some mojo into me recently. So if they are watching, huge thank you to both of you for helping me out. And hopefully they are skills that I can transfer into the club and transfer into these live builds. Obviously I won't be able to do a live brass kit building or anything like that because it's not SMS product. Excuse me. But I will certainly like and will enjoy showing you how I weather and how I build brass kits later down the line. Okay, so I'm just releasing the support now. It's just a bit harder seeing the nodes, the tabs, and the framework. So that goes for that one. It looks like they're every third along the edge. Oh yeah, and on the standard one, it's 72. There we go. Easy as that. Does it need cleaning up? Yes, it does. Going to do a job, do it right. So you can see it. So we've got Morning John from sunny, can't speak this morning. Sunny Somerset. I wish it was sunny in North Lincolnshire, but unfortunately, as usual, it is not. So yeah, Tony Wright and my friend Jesse have been absolutely instrumental in helping me get my mojo back for kit building, for weathering as well. I know this is going off at a tangent, but I've been weathering this wagon from their recommendation, as you've probably seen. I've been weathering building a few kits, and I'm weathering them. So if this is something you'd like to see in the club as well, do let me know, and I will be more than happy to make an article on that. Same with anything though. If you're interested in seeing, I don't know now, or any aspect of the modelling industry, if you want to see that in the club, or if you want to see how I do that, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to have a go for you and show you how I do it, so you don't have to make the same mistakes I do. Okay, so looking at this, it's just a very simple overlay. Yeah, that's dead easy kit to do. If you're watching this and if you've never built a laser cut kit, or if you've never had a go, if you like, for example, only do Metcalf and are a bit worried about, I suppose, stepping up into the laser cut kit world, this is probably the perfect kit to have a go at, because it's so simple. It's literally 3 parts. In fact, it's two parts on one of them and 3 parts on the other. And it's just a very simple overlay construction. So excuse me if you see my head while I try and do this. Let's make sure it's lined up. Another reason why I advocate for the laser cut kit glue is it gives you a little bit of time just to make sure things are positioned okay. And there we go. Slightly wonky, but when we paint it up, when we weather it, you won't be able to tell for love nor money. Hopefully you can see that. Sorted. Wow, good morning, Ian, joining us all the way from Nairobi, Kenya, which is that's a long way to go. Someone's just saying, Trevor's saying, would a different colour cutting mat make for clear reviewing of parts? You're probably right there. Yes. Bear with me. Talk amongst yourself a second. So is this better? I have a dark green one that I've not opened yet. If you'd like me to go get a dark green one, just let me know. Of course I can do that for you. But this is an older cutting mat, as you can tell by all the paint on it. It's not the cleanest. So this is a very simple floating one. Make sure you get plenty of glue to bite on it. Yeah, I've got a dark green cutting mat if you want me to go get that, but that'll take me a minute. That's much improved. Brilliant. Glad to hear it. So we just lay that on top, lay that down, using our cutting mat and thumbs as alignment jigs. Press that down. Bish, delabash, delabash. We have a floating jetty. Simple as that. And there we go. Easy as pie. Good morning, G6ISA. I'm not going to try and pronounce where you're from. I'm just going to say it's Sweden. There's no way on earth I can pronounce that, unfortunately. I'm not trying not to offend. Good day, Roy, from New South Wales, Australia. So, right, for the standing jetty, of course, we will need some legs, which are kindly provided on this sheet. So there's 6 per jetty. Looks like one yeah, just one holding node on each. Simple as. If we get our trusty pliers, makes it slightly easier to hold. And we can just test fit them in there. Brilliant. I'm not going to normally clean these up, these little legs, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist, but for sake of time today, I shan't. I'm going to glue 2 at a time, I think. Then with a lovely sounding click, they just slot into place. He says, go on, you know you want to. Give them a second to go off, and that's it. Well, that's not it, that's 2 out of 6. Let's do the next one. Let's move that over there, that'll make life easy for me, won't it? So if you want to see me paint these up afterwards, after we've got a couple of things, just let me know. More than happy to do so for you. Could be another interesting jobby. That one's not quite fitting. I think that's because it's slightly wonky, but I can't really tell. And that's made it easier to pull the legs on. It's now standing up. We're laying down flat. 1, 2, 3. Sorry for the quietness while I concentrate. Oops. That one didn't quite want to go. I don't think it was quite straight, but I don't think jetties ever were completely straight. So we've got Trevor joining us from Cambridgeshire. Morning, Trevor. Hope you're well. Hope you're doing all right. Again, not quite level, not quite straight, but I think that's going to add a nice bit of variation. Because, I mean, who in their right mind will make sure a jetty is completely straight when they build it? It's not the most important of things. I doubt the people that built them has architecture and engineering degrees. I think glue's gone off on that a bit. It's not quite sticking, so just there we go. Hopefully you can see that. It's not, the legs aren't quite straight, but it's a bit wonky anyway, the design. It's broken up a bit, so that should make it quite interesting, I reckon, especially once that's nicely put in place. Hopefully if Mr. iPhone focuses on that, you'll be able to see that. And there's a second one. So we've got floating, and we've got freestanding. Brilliant. 1 down, 3 to go away. So next, I think we'll have a go at the waterline rowing boats. These are flats, bottom. So if you already have a pre-existing water scene or don't fancy putting products in resin, put in your water product of choice, then this is the one to go for, because it's got a flat bottom, so you just plonk it on top and it'll sit down nicely. Dave saying he's built a few jetties on canals, they never did end perfectly straight. Yeah, that's my logic entirely. Right. So, just looking at the instructions, we need a couple of parts. I'm hoping, in theory, it should be that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. That would make sense to me. So let's have a go. We need to flip it over. I always think it's best to release your parts from the rear. There's one. think this is 0.8 millimeter material, so for a view of my noggin, it's not what you want to see on a Wednesday morning. Is this coming out? There we go. So we'll leave those to the side. Another one. Might leave the oars where they are for now. Just don't need them just yet. Like the centre of the boat. I always think it's best to keep these little bits, maybe not them because they're a bit small, but the spare parts can be great for practicing painting on. It saves you practicing on something that you actually care about. So I always try and keep the larger ones for that reason. Especially the centre parts from roof trusses. They're quite handy to keep. So I think we've got two more. I think we'll soon find out. Like I say, I've not built this yet at all. Never even seen this kit before today, so you're learning with me. If anyone's got any questions, please feel free to ask. Well, Roy saying no cap. I'm not too sure what you're referring to there, Roy. If you could elaborate. And I will. Oh, no cap on that. Yeah, no, that's Sam's style. I can't encroach on him. I am wearing shorts though. Right. So I think, in theory, if we just have a little test run of this one goes on top of the decking. I think that looks to be about so. Don't forget they're sort of latticed. Each layer is slightly bigger than the previous. This is to make sure the hull of the boat looks like the hull of a boat, if that makes sense. As much as I enjoy naval history, I am no naval architect or historian. That goes on top of there. Looks like you've got a thick and thin piece. Do it. Maybe. Yeah, so the thin one goes over the top next. Like so. And then the thicker one over the top like that. Right, so that's the dry run done. Make sure we take parts off in order. This one could be a bit more. In fact, I'm going to employ the trusty SX002 jig. What's the best way to do this then? Is it going to be? It is. Right, I'm going to glue this part and then put that on top, if that makes sense. That way, in theory, I should know I've got the glue lined up nicely. Don't forget, when you're gluing very small parts and very thin parts, you don't want to use too much glue. The reason being, the material we use is wood. And wood is absorbent. So if you use too much glue on your wood, or paint for that matter, it will absorb it, which will ruin it. So always best to use a sparing amount of glue and paint. Bare minimum you need. Right, that was actually a lot easier than I was expecting. That's done nicely now. I'm really annoyed at myself because I don't know if you can see. Hopefully they can get the camera to focus. maybe not. Anyway, there's some little burrs left that I haven't taken off, which I normally do, but for the sake of time, I won't today. But normally, I'll take the time to just to make sure that everything's nice and nicely cleaned up. So like I say, I have an idea on how I want to paint this later on, and to give it an effect of being weathered, nicely weathered, so it looks like it's been painted, 10 years ago and not touched since. Bish bash bosh. Another layer done. It's actually a really simple kit. I was not expecting this to sort of fall together that easily. I know I shouldn't maybe not say that, but I was expecting it to be quite fiddly and try and get everything lined up, but it's not. It's just gone together really nicely. So that's, as usual, great news. Okay, so I'm going to glue the top of the this layer. Again, this is where the fine nozzle really comes into its own. Hopefully I didn't jinx what I said about it being easy and just going together with this part. No, not at all. Actually falls together. That's great. That's brilliant. That's gone on really nicely. And the final one. Just realised as well, I'm using a nice blue cutting mat, so it might look like we're actually on a river, which is quite handy. And there we go, nice piece, last one. There we have, oops, a nice little flat bottom, so you can put it on whatever you want, rowing boat. How simple is that, eh? It's not even 10:30, and we have built 3 kits for your water scene diorama. How good is that? Not even half an hour and we've got 3 done. So I think we'll go to the next one. What's in the glue bottle as a tip? It is laser cut kit glue by Deluxe Materials. This is what I recommend for all your laser cut kit needs. You can use rocket card glue. You can use superphatic. I use superphatic for the bigger jobs, more general purpose, but I find this with a very fine needle on top, very fine applicator for the smaller jobs, just makes things just a bit easier, to be honest with you. It's quite handy to have it in the small bottle as well. It's very simple to use. Just gonna have a drink, so if you hear any weird noises, do apologise. Excuse me. Right, without further ado, I think while we're on the boating theme, and I can remember what we were doing, we will start the full hull, which if you were doing a scene from scratch, and you were putting resin in, you would use this one. So when you poured your resin, you would just gently place this on top and maybe press it in before, and then that will allow the hull to be half submerged in the water, give it an extra step of realism. Dak is saying, not seeing the tips for. The tips are actually ours, we sell them. There we go, the 1/4 inch glue tips. And there's product code there, SMS tip 2, pack of 5. Not sure how much they cost, but they're not very expensive at all. They don't come with a syringe. You can buy a syringe separately, but they do not come with a syringe. And they're just great for all your general purposes, really. Righto, let's crack on with this one. Bit more complex, this one. Couple more parts. Right, okay. So, right, I get it. So it's essentially, what we've just built is that, and that is these parts here. Those parts there will build this. But these two parts here, you glue them to the bottom of the boat, and they will create the full hull. So I'll build a second one so we can compare later. But it's essentially the same kit plus 2 parts of hull. So let's crack on with these. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by just building this and then add the parts on. So I'll quickly just whiz through this. So, like I say, my top tip, I suppose, is this glass and jar method with the little bit of paper in the bottom, wet paper, which allows you to keep your nozzle wet out of use, so it doesn't clog up. If you've got your own top tips, as most of you are probably aware, if you post them in the club, the Railway Modelers Club, with the hashtag top tips in the club room, we will do a prize draw from everyone who's entered for your chance to win a £10 Scale Model Scenery voucher. So if you have a top tip that you want to share with people, and you want a chance to win a £10 voucher, go over to the Railway Modelers Club for your chance to win. Boy, sounds a bit cheesy, like a radio advert, but there we go. It's a great way of helping the community. It's a bit of a mutual benefit. You have the chance of winning, a voucher, but we also help out the community. There's been quite a lot of posts where I've sort of thought, oh, why haven't I thought of that? That's a really good idea. So it helps everyone out. So if you want to have a chance to win, just head over to the club to post your top tips. Make sure you've got the hashtag top tips so we can find it. And that should be everything. Right, I'm just going to quickly whiz through this one. Nearly there. As well, have you got any suggestions of what you want to see next? What kits you want me to build next? Or what articles you want to see next in the club? Just let me know. I'm open to suggestions, chaps. If you want to see me weather a wagon, I'll be more than happy to do that. If you'd like me to see me build a white metal kit, I'll happily do that as well in the club. Or if there's a particular scale model scenery kit that you want to see built and articled, just let me know. We do have a build guide archive in the club. So if you, for example, I don't think there's one for this, but if you wanted to see how we built our barn kit, I'm not sure how you'll find it, but if you go over to the burger menu on the left, just 3 lines, click on that. It should become a drop-down menu, and I think if you click on free stuff, you should be able to see and find our build guide archive, which eventually will have every single kit in it, that we've built and documented. So if you're building it and you get stuck, or you want to see how you do it before you purchase the kit, you can just hop onto there to have a look. Oops, this is not quite going. Let's make sure that goes on there. There we go. Perfect. I'll just press that down for a second, just make sure it goes off. Some weathering, always good to see other people's approaches. Yeah, I'd have the method of, for wagons at least, I haven't got the skills yet to have a go at coaches or rolling stock. I only do wagons at the moment. But for now, I use the wax on, wax off method. I cover the model in an oil paint, mucky oil paint. I'll let that go off for a while. And then once that's gone off, sorry, just concentrating on this. Once the paint's gone off, I wipe it vertically down with a cotton wallboard soaked in thinners, which removes a lot of the paint, but also leaves enough to give a streaking effect. And then once that's completely dried, I dry brush the underframe W axles, brake gear, and the inside of the wagon, just to give it some more colour, more variation. So we're whizzing through this nicely now. Again, this part of the process is exactly the same as the one we've just done. And that should just press on nicely. There we go. Line that a bit better. So once we've done this, I'll move on to the next part, which is the underside. You flip the whole thing over and build it from the bottom down. It's only 2 layers, but it just helps to give it the full hull effect. There we go, press that down. We have 2 nice rowing boats, just like that. Sorted. So just have a quick look in the chat. Roy is asking, where do you get the white model kits from? Number of places. eBay, obviously. eBay is always a good place to find kits from. But if you're buying new, I tend to get mine from Wizard Models, 51L Models. They have quite a nice little range of easy to build cheap kits. You can get wagons from them for about a tenner. This is one here. I think this is about, well, this is a friend built this for me, but I think it's probably about 15 quid. All you need to do is add wheels. Very simple to build, very still, but it's weighty. Of course, you have the privilege of knowing that it's yours. You built it. You didn't buy it, you built it. Well, you bought it, then you built it. Right, so I'll show you these 2 underhull parts in a second. So we have that piece, hopefully you can see this. The bottom piece, and they go on there. So let's go. Maybe a bit too much glue on that one, but I won't tell anyone if you don't. Yeah, it's too much glue on that. But I'm not going to do any sleep over it because the glue dries completely clear. Brilliant. So for this one, I'm just going to have a bit of line down the middle. Remembering that it has engraved detail on this side, which needs to be facing down. And just like that, we have a full hull kit, full hull boat. See, there's just a bit too much glue on there. Hopefully that focuses. But you can see it's quite a nice little kit. Of course, you do have hulls, which you can stick on both of them. But if I use them, I'll use them later if we paint it. If you want to see me paint these, just let me know. I'm more than happy to. There we go. We are 40 minutes in, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 kits built, which I think is pretty good going. Just have a look at the chat. Can't see any unread messages, I don't think. Any plans to do a detailed narrowboat? There's no reason why we can't. I don't think we have any plans at the moment, but like I say, there's no reason why not, why we can't do that. So maybe in the future. I know Mr. Everard has just done one barge boat for his canal scene. I know he's 3D printed his, but if we can do one, that would be nice. So let's move on to lobster creels. Obviously, if you're doing a lake scene or a river scene, these aren't much use to you, but I thought while I've got the theme going, we'll have a go So this is the LX351 lobster pots. Again, same with the others, I'm not seeing these yet. So it might take me seconds just to familiarise myself with the kit. Okay. So that looks like this part here glues onto this mesh part. These parts glues onto those mesh parts. Glue to creel ends for these. Okay, so there's 4 right. Then that rolls over the top. Simple. Right. How hard can it be, eh? Famous last words, how hard can it be? So I'm going to start by releasing the bottom and flicking it across the mat, which is just, looks like a small ladder. Morning, Justin. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. So that looks like it just glues onto there. I think what I'm going to do, for the sake of my sanity, I'm going to glue this part onto the sprue directly. I'm not going to release this until that's on. This could completely backfire though, but if it does, we have a number of spares. So apologies if you can see my head. It's probably not the best thing to look at. Staring at my lockdown haircut, courtesy of the missus. So that, there we go. Hopefully you can see that I've just glued the base, I think it is. Yeah, I've just glued the base onto the mesh, detailed mesh. Right, so next, it's the turn of the arches. So I'll just gently release them. There's one. Careful with the knife. And I've just messed up. Yeah. If you can tell, I've just released the mesh part and I was meant to just release this. In fact, can I move this down a bit? Sorry if this goes a bit blurry a second. But I'm doing very fine work and the camera's miles away. Is that focusing now? Hopefully I can get this to focus. Is it wanting to play ball? Right, hopefully. I have no idea if that's really in focus for you. Don't think. No, I can't focus the camera. If that's too blurry for you to see, just let me know and I'll move it for you. Move it back, but hopefully you can see it. I can't really tell, fortunately. And I can't focus my camera manually. Oops. That very, very nearly went to carpet monster. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. Okay, Kevin's saying good focus, so we'll crack on. So's Neil and so's Digger. Brilliant. We'll crack on then. Ignore me, nothing happened. So I'm using a minute amount of glue here. Tiny, tiny, tiny amount. Might even treat myself to using the tweezers. Oops. Come on. So that should. I can just coax that across a tiny bit. Advantages of using laser cut kit glue: you have a tiny bit of working time, which is very useful. Okay, so everyone's saying the focus is fine, so we'll crack on then. One thing I will say about this kit is it's liable to carpet monster attacks. You have to be careful with this, make sure it doesn't ping off into oblivion. So I'm just going to glue these two parts together. I didn't mean to release this, did it by accident. But, oh well, worse things have happened at sea, if you'll pardon the pun. Oh, blooming X is fine. Come here. Behave. sit on there. Just like that. Sorted. Right, so now I believe we need to release 2 more of these. The arches. So we need 2 more of you. Oops. One of them nearly went to Carpet Monster, but I caught him. And there's the other one. I think we need to release parts I've just glued over, which could make them interesting to release. If this hasn't worked and it's easier to glue them separate away from the sprue, I will let you know, but it looks like it works quite well, that method. So if it works for me, it should work for you. There we go. The other end. Right, this could get fiddly. Morning, Rachel Harris from sunny Exeter. Good morning from not so sunny North Lincolnshire. It's a bit dreary out here. Right then. Okay, so we need this part, I believe, looking at the instructions, facing inwards. So we want the lattice on the outside. And it looks like we glue those onto the ends. Oh no. We glue them like that, is it? I believe we glue them, that's the bottom. Right, okay. Yeah, so that's the bottom, so we need to glue them sort of 90 degrees to that. So I'm using my hands to show you what I mean, but you can't see my hands. So what I will do is employ some tweezers, dry one first, tiny bit of glue, hold that down, hold for a second, hold for a second more, just hold that in place. Hope the glue goes off one day this year. Carefully release. And it's wonky. You can't see that. You can see that. There we go. Tiny bit wonky. Wonky donkey. Hopefully, should be okay. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this pack, I believe. So that's 6 attempts for you to get it right. I suppose once you've built one, like everything, the first one is the hardest. Once you've done that, once you've built the first one, the others should just fall together, he says. Okay, so that's a bit better. Number 3. So these are just arches without any mesh. Roy's saying, how are you all going with lockdown in country? I assume he's talking to someone else. Oh no, he's saying that we're just starting to wear masks. Yeah, it's okay over here. We're still wearing masks. In fact, we never stopped wearing masks. But we can now at least take our masks to the pub or to the cinema, I think, or other places. Still wearing masks though, but that's neither here nor there for us. I don't think there's many people that complain or mind. Either wear masks and go to the pub and not be able to go to the pub at all. Oops. You've got to remember that with this glue, it just does take a second to go off. So you have to just give it time. There we go. Time it has been given. and then make sure we have the lattice facing the outside and the frame on the inside. This is Bloomin' Fiddly. Good morning, Jed. How you doing, mate? Just set up a special interest group for Jed on the Railway Modelers Club, which is essentially a group, a page that Jed can run himself, and he can post there his own work. I believe it's called Jedbury. If you're interested in having your own page, your own group, all you need to do is ping me a message, and then I'll tell you what is needed from you to get going. It will then be made. Oops, hang on. Pause conversation. I think. No, I'm gonna pull that off and start again. Now I wasn't happy with that. Yeah. If you wanted your own special interest group for your own shenanigans and your own postings, where people can follow just your group, see what you're doing, then that is entirely possible. I'm more than happy to do that for you. All we need is the name wanted by the group, the 2 photos and a description, and your club name. That's all we need. After we have that information, we will be able to then do that for you. So I'm just going to tease that up just to make sure it's straight, because it wasn't quite 90 degrees for the base. Justin's not watching. I could be making a bit of a pig's ear of this, but I think you can't see that because I keep moving the camera. Keep forgetting it's closer now. Hopefully you can see that. We have the base with the mesh, 2 sides of the mesh, and then the 2 arches in the middle. So I just have a quick look at the chat. No one's asking for Engage and Scale. Yeah, we normally have people asking for Engage, but unfortunately, with these, I believe these in 2mm would probably violate the Geneva Convention for human torture. Can't say it can't be done, but I would not like to be the person to test build that in Engage. I'm struggling with 00 as it is. 7mm. We've had a lot of requests for this in 7mm. Really need to ask Justin to get that done. I've got a friend of mine, Chris Stafford, who models O-gauge. He's got he's part of a club that's essentially modelling the entirety of Newcastle and O-gauge by the looks of it, or Tyneside and O-gauge. It's bloody impressive. And he's asking for these in, oh, right. Okay, so that is flush to that piece and that folds around. Okay. Okie doke. Right. How do we tackle this one then? If we glue that to there, hold it, let it go off. Right, okay. Yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue one side on, just so it's vertical, so it looks like it's been peeled. And then once the glue's gone off and it's holding a bit, I will then glue and fold it around. I think the first step is just to glue it on, let it go off. Oops. And that's just flown off, and the end has come a bit loose. So this could be a broken and damaged one. Hopefully you can see that. Right, so if you can see there, I've just glued it on, and the end has broken off. So I will quickly try and repair him. What I might do is just push him straight, put him flat, put him straight again, So if I can just pick it up, just give another bit of glue. And then just press him down. Come on, there you want to go. Okay, so that's probably not the best lobster creel I've ever made, but as a first attempt, I don't think it's too shabby. Right, now that glue's gone off a bit, I'm going to glue the far side, not the Gary Larson comic. Glue around the arches. Again. Although I worry that I might have used too much of the white stuff. Like I say, this is even finer than the material before on the jetties and the boats. So you want to make sure that you don't use too much, otherwise you'll saturate it. Carefully roll it over and hold it down and just press it in. Sorry if you can't see that, it's quite hard to get the camera, keep forgetting where the camera is. Could you form the top around a pencil or similar before going to the frame? Yes, you could. That's probably a good idea. I could follow the instructions. I don't think the instructions say that. But there's no reason why you can't. Like I say, you do get 6 in this kit, and they're relatively cheap. So there's nothing stopping you having a go, learning of one, learning what works for you, and then having another go. Dak, no worries. Sorry, I'm just reading the chat. Don't think there's any questions. If you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in. I will reiterate again for people who just joined us. If you post your comments on Facebook, there's a chance I won't see it. So the best place to be is YouTube. Okay, so there's a little bit of overhang on this kit. Hopefully you can see this mesh is just overhanging a bit. So with our knife, just going to carefully remove that. Bit scraggy, but that can be cleaned up with a file, should you so wish. If you're going to paint this, I would recommend getting a aerosol, a spray paint, or an airbrush, because it's so fine. That's what I definitely recommend. But there we go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kits done in 58 minutes and 58 seconds. I think that's not bad going. So you can see them. Let's move a bit closer for you. So we've got the freestanding jetty. We have the full hull boat. We have the half hull, which is flat bottom. And we have floating jetty. Nicely done, and not at the best, but you can see the construction method. Lobster creel. Hopefully this shows you that. Again, the first attempt is not always the best, but once you've done the first one, you've got all of these to have a go at. So hopefully by the time you get to here, you're a wizard at it and you can build them in your sleep. But the first one is always the hardest, so don't be disheartened by the first one not looking so good, because you've always got more to have a go at. Only problem would be that there's no way for live lobster to climb inside. Will admit, I don't know how lobster creels work. I know they can go in, but they can't come out. Sort of like cat traps and dog traps, or animal traps. I want to know how you make this look like it's in use. But surely, if this is in use, it's at the bottom of the ocean. So if it's at the bottom of the ocean, unless you're doing a very strange model or something of an astute class submarine, you won't be able to see it. So we've got 113 people left. So I suppose if you want to watch me paint something, that is still an option. But if not, I will probably do that as an article. In fact, what I think I'll do is I'll do that as an article. I'll paint these up as in an article now. Which, in fact, let me get my noggin on so you can see me. There we go. Look, me again. Yeah, I'll paint them up for you now in an article. So, oh, bit garish that, bit bright. Like some coming. Yeah, I'll paint these up now for you in an article. I'll post it over on the Railway Modelers Club. If you haven't got that, I can't recommend it enough. I know that's me being biased because it's my job to work with the club and to push the club, but it's a superb modelling resource. The whole idea behind it is we didn't like the way Facebook was going. If you go on Facebook, you easily get distracted. You go on to look at some modelling, and then 10 minutes later, you're watching a video of someone's cat, and you've been bombarded with adverts every 4 posts. So we didn't really like the way that was and the mentality behind that. So we decided to, well, we don't like how they're doing it, so we'll do it. So we designed and developed our own social media page for railway modelers, for you to post all of your work, post what you're doing, and to show off how you do something, and to help others and to build a community up. But it's a mutual benefit as well. You post in the club to show off your work, which elevates, I suppose, your ranking, and then the higher you are, the more benefits you can get from it. So it's all designed to sort of snowball effect. As soon as it gets going, more people join, more content gets pumped in. The better it is, the more people join, the more content gets pumped in. So it's quite a nice resource for people to also have a chat as well, to just talk models, see what people are doing, get ideas of people, get inspiration. It's free as well. It's completely free. There's a completely free version of it, which has a lot of the benefits of the paid version. There is a paid, as I said, there is a paid version, which is $6.99 a month or $59.99 a year. That grants you access to the first class lounge, which is essentially a private lounge, private feed for first class members, where we will post behind the scenes. For example, now if I go and paint these up, I'll take a photo of it and I'll post it in the first class lounge before it's ready for general access, for general reading. Also behind the scenes at HQ at Scale Model Scenery, but also you get access to free 24-hour shipping upgrade. That's not free. I will point out that's not free postage. You still have to pay the postage charge under £50, but it's a free upgrade to 24-hour delivery rather than 48. So that's a nice little benefit. You also get access to over 400 download items for free, which I think is amazing value for money anyway. When you think about our texture sheets on our website, Scale Model Scenery, most of them are available on the club. You only need to buy 2 texture sheets. So you only need to download 2 texture sheets and you've already saving money. So it's a great resource, I think, for any modeler. So I'd highly recommend you go and check that out. But right, I suppose that's everything from me. Yeah, like I say, I will paint these up now, or later today, later this week, and I'll get them in an article on the club. So hopefully that'll be live end of this week, maybe next week, so you can see how I did it, and you've got a clearer view of the kits as well. Because obviously the cameras aren't very good. Much better take a photo and edit that and then upload it. So thanks for watching, everyone. Much appreciate your company as always. It's been great fun as always. I hope everyone stays safe, has a good weekend, a good week, and I will catch you all later. So thanks for joining, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in a bit. Thank you, everyone.